So New York City has 472 subway stations, which is just wild.
Yeah, it's more than any other transit system on Earth.
Right. And you'd think the biggest mistake people make when they get here is just getting lost in that sheer volume of stops. But it's really not.
No, definitely not.
It's actually that they treat the subway like a static map on their phone rather than, this living, breathing, century-old machine.
Exactly. I mean, picture your first day in Manhattan. You're standing above ground, and it is just sensory overload.
Oh, totally. Yellow cabs are laying on their horns, delivery trucks are double parked everywhere.
Traffic is completely gridlocked, and then you feel this rhythmic, heavy rumble right underneath your shoes.
Which is such a cinematic New York moment, right?
Heck.
But for a newcomer, staring down into that dark staircase with people just surging past you, it feels incredibly intimidating.
It really does. You pull up a transit map, and it looks less like a transportation network and more like, I don't know, an electrical schematic drawn by a madman.
Yeah, it's complete spaghetti.
Right. So because of that sensory overload, a lot of visitors make a very expensive, very frustrating choice.
They hail a cab.
Exactly. They assume a car is the safe, easy option.
I hear this from tourists all the time. They look at their phone, they see their destination is only like 3 miles away, and they figure, oh, it'll take 10 minutes.
And 45 minutes later, they are staring at the exact same deli awning, just watching the meter climb.
It's brutal.
Because a car ride in Manhattan is subjected to the physics of urban congestion. A single delivery truck unloading kegs of beer can paralyze an entire avenue.
Right, but the subway operates on its own dedicated spatial plane.
Yes. A ride from Midtown down to the Brooklyn Bridge completely bypasses millions of tons of steel and gridlock. It drops you off in under 20 minutes for, just a few dollars.
And that is exactly the spatial cheat code we are unpacking today. Welcome to our deep dive. Our mission today is to take that overwhelming underground labyrinth and reverse engineer it for you.
Because whether you are visiting for a long weekend and want to maximize your itinerary, or you just moved here and need to survive your new commute, understanding this system is basically the only way to truly unlock New York.
Totally. So let's start at the very beginning. To unlock the city, you first have to get through the turnstile without looking like, a deer in headlights.
Which is so much easier now. The physical threshold of the system has fundamentally changed in the last few years.
Oh my gosh, yes. The era of the magnetic stripe MetroCard is basically over.
Right. You don't have that anxiety of swiping it at the exact mandated speed while a line of angry commuters breathes down your neck.
I still have phantom anxiety from the please swipe again error message. It was the worst.
It was. But now you just encounter the OMNY screen at the turnstile.
Right. You literally just tap your phone or your smartwatch or even a contactless credit card. The screen turns green and you walk right through.
It removes so much friction, especially if you're hauling luggage from the airport. Not having to fumble with the vending machine is a game changer.
But wait, if OMNY is so seamless and it automatically caps your fares, right? So after a certain number of taps in a 7-day period, the rest of your rides are free.
Yep, that's the fare cap.
So if it does all that, why does the Transit Authority even bother keeping MetroCard machines around at all?
Well, it comes down to accessibility. Not everyone has a smartphone or a bank account linked to a digital wallet.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
Yeah, the city relies on cash-based MetroCards for unbanked populations, student transit programs, things like that. But for the average visitor or new resident with a digital wallet, there is absolutely no reason to stand in line at a vending machine.
Just tap the exact same device every time to build toward that free ride cap. Simple.
Exactly.
Okay, so you tap in, you walk through the turnstile, and immediately you face your first major test. Direction.
This is the biggest point of confusion.
People instinctively look for east or west, but the subway doesn't really work that way. The signs say uptown and downtown.
Right, because Manhattan is a long, narrow island. The transit system reflects that geography. Uptown is basically the mechanism for moving north. Downtown is the mechanism for moving south.
So you have to temporarily delete street names from your brain and think of the city on a vertical axis.
Exactly. For example, if you are standing in Times Square and you want to go see the financial district, you are traveling down that vertical axis. You need a downtown train.
Got it. And if I am in the West Village and I want to go to Central Park, I am traveling up the axis, so I need an uptown train.
You got it, but the crucial mechanical detail here is the bedrock of the island itself.
Wait, the bedrock?
Yeah. Because Manhattan is so narrow, The city couldn't build massive, sprawling underground concourses everywhere without interfering with the foundations of the skyscrapers.
Oh, wow. I never thought about that.
So consequently, at a lot of local stations, the Uptown platform and the downtown platform are physically isolated from each other.
Meaning the tracks run right down the middle, separating them. And I learned this the hard way on my first trip here. I descended the stairs, tapped my phone, walked onto the platform, and realized I was on the downtown side when I desperately needed to go uptown.
Let me guess. You couldn't just cross over.
No, I couldn't cross over. I literally had to exit the station, walk above ground across a busy avenue, walk down a completely different set of stairs, and pay a second fare just to get onto the correct side.
It is a harsh lesson in urban mechanics.
It really is. It's like driving on a divided highway. If you get on the wrong side, you are going the wrong way and you're stuck.
Which is why you always need to pause at street level, read the physical sign mounted above the staircase before you descend.
Yes. It will explicitly state if that entrance only serves uptown trains or only serves downtown trains. It's such a simple check, but it saves so much headache.
Definitely. Now, once you are on the correct platform, the system presents its next layer of complexity.
Right. A silver train screeches into the station, the doors open, and you have like a split second to decide if it's the right one.
This is the local versus express dilemma.
So why does this even exist? If I'm on the blue line, shouldn't every blue train just go to all the blue stops?
Well, this specific dynamic exists because of the sheer scale of the city. Most transit systems globally, like, say, the Paris Metro or the London Underground, were built with 2 tracks per line, one going out, one coming back.
Right, makes sense.
But New York City built 4 tracks on its major lines. The outer tracks handle local trains, which stop at every single station. The inner tracks handle express trains.
And those express trains skip a bunch of smaller stations to move massive amounts of people across incredibly long distances, right?
Exactly, like moving people from the top of the Bronx all the way down to Coney Island.
I'll admit, my first time seeing an A train arrive, I just panicked. I knew my destination was on the blue line, I saw the blue A, and I just sprinted through the closing doors.
Oh, no.
Yeah. 10 minutes later, I watched my intended stop just blur past the window at 40 miles an hour. I ended up deep in Brooklyn.
Tourists do that all the time. They jump on the first train they see.
So, if I'm trying to avoid studying a complex transit map, what's the cheat code here?
The easiest way to avoid your fate is to simply check your navigation app before you board. Google Maps or Apple Maps will specify if your route requires the local or the express.
Okay, so trust the app.
Yes, and look at the digital signs hanging over the platform. Plus, listen to the automated announcements. And hey, if you mess up, don't panic.
Right. You just get off at the next available stop, cross the platform, and take the local train back in the opposite direction.
Exactly. Honestly, the real test of a newcomer isn't whether you make a navigational mistake. It's how you handle the physics of the train car itself.
Oh, man. Subway etiquette.
Yes, tourists often complain that New Yorkers are rude on the subway, but they really misinterpret extreme efficiency as hostility.
Because the subway is basically an exercise in fluid dynamics.
That's a great way to put it. During rush hour, you're trying to move thousands of human bodies through incredibly narrow bottlenecks, the train doors.
So if you stand directly in front of the sliding doors while people are trying to exit, you are effectively throwing a boulder into a rushing river.
Exactly. And the crowd will not politely ask you to move. They will aggressively displace you.
So the rule is you have to stand to the side, let the pressurized cabin empty out completely, and only then step inside.
And those fluid dynamics continue once you cross the threshold. A really common instinct for visitors is to stop moving the second they're inside the train.
Right, they hover right near the doors.
Which clogs the intake valve. You have to move deep into the center aisle of the car to allow the people right behind you to actually board.
Yeah.
Take your backpack off, keep it low so you don't hit people when the train sways.
Yes, it's the exact same principle when you exit a station, too. I see tourists reach the top of the subway stairs, step onto the sidewalk, and instantly freeze to check their phone compass.
No, that's so dangerous.
It's like slamming on the brakes on a highway off-ramp. The kinetic energy of 50 commuters rushing up the stairs behind them suddenly slams into a brick wall. Step aside first, lean against a building, and then figure out your coordinates.
Definitely. And speaking of coordinates, relying on digital maps brings up a major reality check. The transit apps are phenomenal tools, but they require an active signal.
Which disappears. The moment your train plunges into a tunnel under the East River, your cellular connection might just vanish entirely.
Right. So a crucial habit is to check your directions above ground.
I always take a screenshot of my step-by-step directions while I am still standing on the sidewalk. You do not want to be underground, approaching a major transfer, just staring at a frozen loading screen.
That preparation is vital because the transfers themselves can be, well, staggering.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because an app might display a 2-minute transfer between the 1 train and the A train.
And in a small local station, that might be accurate, but at a massive transit hub, like Times Square, Union Square, or Fulton Street, a transfer is not a simple walk across a platform.
It's a 3-dimensional labyrinth. You might walk down a long tunnel, ride an escalator, weave through a mezzanine filled with musicians and pretzel stands, and descend another staircase just to find your connecting train.
To understand why it's a labyrinth, you actually have to look at the history.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The New York subway wasn't built as one cohesive system. It was built by 3 fiercely competing rival companies over a century ago.
Wait, they were rivals?
Bitter rivals,
Uh-huh.
the IRT, the BMT, and the IND. They intentionally built their stations near each other to steal passengers, but they absolutely refused to connect them.
That is wild.
Right. So when the city finally took over and merged the companies decades later, they had to blast these haphazard transfer tunnels through the bedrock to patch these rival networks together.
Oh, wow. That makes so much sense. That completely explains why I sometimes feel like I'm walking a 1/4 mile underground just to switch from the green line to the yellow line. They were never supposed to touch.
Exactly. When you navigate a major hub, you are walking through a century-old corporate merger.
That is fascinating.
So if you feel disoriented in those massive stations, the strategy is simple. Look up. The ceiling is lined with color-coded, heavily reinforced signage. Do not follow the crowd. Follow the specific color of your intended line.
Good tip. I do want to bring up another reality, though. Luggage and rush hour.
Oh boy.
Because rush hour is basically 7 to 9 a.m. and 4 to 6 p.m., and you do not want to try to move large suitcases during these times.
No, you really don't. Many older stations lack elevators, meaning you'll be hauling heavy bags up multiple flights of stairs in a sea of aggressive, fast-moving commuters. It is miserable.
And that leads to my next point. I want to push back on the idea that the subway is always the answer. Once you figure out the OMNY tap and the transfers, there's a temptation to use the train for absolutely every trip.
Right, because the transit map kind of distorts the geography of the city.
Exactly. It creates a false sense of distance. I've seen itineraries where someone plans to take the subway from, like, the West Village to Chelsea, or from Soho to Chinatown.
Which looks far on a subway map, but it's really not.
Right. By the time you walk down into the station, wait for a train, endure a messy transfer, and climb back to street level, 25 minutes have passed. You could have walked the same distance above ground in 15 minutes.
You also save the fare and actually experience the architecture and the street life you traveled to New York to see.
Exactly. Don't spend so much time underground that you miss the actual city. Sometimes the smartest subway hack is knowing when to just walk.
For sure. And that calculus changes drastically depending on the time of day, too. New York bills itself as the 24/7 city, and the trains do technically run all night.
But the vibe completely shifts after midnight.
It does. During the day, trains run constantly. But at night, the transit authority has to perform maintenance, clear trash from the tracks, and inspect tunnels.
And they do all of that without actually shutting the system down.
Right, so the only way to do that is to drastically reduce the frequency of trains. A train that arrives every 3 minutes at noon might only arrive every 25 minutes at 3 a.m.
Which means the entire atmosphere of the platform changes. The daytime hustle is gone, platforms are quieter, and situations can just be more unpredictable.
If you are new to the city, the steepest part of the learning curve is late-night navigation. It requires a specific type of urban awareness.
What's your advice for a beginner?
Honestly, if you're new, stick to daytime riding first. But if you are out late, do not stand at the desolate far end of the platform while waiting. Position yourself near the middle, ideally near the conductor's stopping point or near other passengers.
Yeah, that's smart. And when the train finally pulls up, there is one universal unspoken rule of survival.
Yes. The empty car.
If a train arrives and every single car is moderately populated with sleepy commuters, but one car right in the middle is completely, totally empty.
You do not step into that car.
Never. It defies human instinct, you know? You see a quiet, empty space and you want to claim it.
But in New York, a car is never empty by accident.
It is empty for a reason, and you do not want to discover the reason after the door is locked.
No, you don't.
It could be a broken air conditioning unit on a 90-degree day, a massive spill, or just a really unpredictable situation.
Right.
You just swallow your desire for legroom and squeeze into the crowded car with everyone else. New Yorkers instinctively avoid empty cars late at night.
Totally. And speaking of safety, it's rarely about the dramatic scenarios you see in movies. It's really about practical physics and spatial awareness.
Like the platform edge. The yellow bumpy strip isn't just a suggestion.
Right. When an express train bypasses a local station at high speed, it pushes a massive wall of pressurized air ahead of it, followed by a powerful suction effect. Standing too close to the edge destabilizes your footing, especially if the crowd behind you is surging forward.
Stand back. Simple as that. There is also the physics of the doors themselves. The most common minor crime isn't a mugging, it's the snatch and run.
Oh yeah, this happens so fast.
A thief will stand near the exit, wait for the automated voice to announce the closing doors, smash a phone out of the hands of an unsuspecting person standing nearby, and sprint onto the platform the exact second the doors slide shut.
The train accelerates into the tunnel, and the victim is just trapped behind glass. So the mitigation is just awareness. Keep a firm grip on your phone when the train is docked at a station, and don't stand directly against the doors if you don't need to. Don't flash cash either.
Just basic city street smarts. Now let's talk about a different kind of survival, the weather realities of the subway. Because this is a subterranean network built in the early 1900s. The climate control is volatile.
Yeah, that's a polite way of saying it's miserable sometimes.
Yeah.
The laws of thermodynamics are very apparent in the summer. The subway platforms are notoriously sweltering because of poor ventilation.
But wait, the trains have AC, right?
Yes, the train cars themselves are heavily air-conditioned. But those AC units extract the heat from inside the train and expel it directly into the tunnels.
Oh, so the stations just absorb all that displaced heat.
Exactly. You will sweat through your shirt waiting for the train.
But winter brings an entirely different issue. You walk down from a freezing, snowy street wearing a heavy wool coat, a scarf, and a sweater. You wait on a chilly platform. Then you step onto a train that is aggressively pumping out dry heat.
It creates a greenhouse effect.
By the third stop, you are literally suffocating in your own winter gear. The local lifestyle strategy here is to dress in highly removable layers. You need a coat you can instantly unzip or shed the second you find a seat, or you will be miserable.
Such a great tip. And look, if you can master the layers, the etiquette, and the navigation, this entire map opens up to you.
It really does. Are there any specific lines that are easiest for tourists to start with?
Definitely. For visitors trying to build their confidence, the major trunk lines are incredibly forgiving. The A, C, and E lines run down the west side, hitting major tourist zones. The 1, 2, and 3 are great too.
And the yellow lines, right?
Yeah, the N, Q, R, and W slice diagonally through the major theater districts in Midtown. Plus, neighborhoods like Long Island City, downtown Brooklyn, and the Upper West Side are super accessible for beginners.
Perfect. So we've broken down the basics. The OMNY tap, the vertical uptown and downtown access, the local versus express dilemma.
We cover the historical chaos of the transfers, the apps, and the spatial awareness you need for safety.
Right. And, the system only feels intimidating because it moves fast, doesn't hold your hand.
But once you understand its logic, know your direction, know your train, and keep basic awareness, you adapt surprisingly quickly. You realize it isn't fighting you, it's just moving at a frequency you had to tune into.
Beautifully said. If you enjoy this kind of realistic, practical look at city life, you should definitely check out the YouTube blog, New York Here.
It's a great channel.
It really is. It's a phenomenal place to explore realistic NYC routines, neighborhood walks, and that everyday city atmosphere beyond just the standard tourist guides. It basically gives you the visual context for everything we've been decoding today.
And honestly, the most profound shift happens when that context finally clicks. Before you understand the subway, navigating it feels like a necessary evil just to get from point A to point B.
Right.
You view New York as a series of disconnected, sprawling tourist traps. Times Square, isolated over here, the Brooklyn Bridge, far away over there.
It feels massive and unmanageable.
But when you master the underground, it fundamentally rewires your brain's spatial map of the city. The distances collapse. The geographic friction disappears.
Wow.
The city shrinks from this overwhelming metropolis into a deeply connected, intimate neighborhood that you actually belong to. You stop fighting the current and start flowing through the city's veins.
Which is such a powerful feeling.
It is. The question isn't just whether you can find your train anymore. It's what will your mental map of New York look like once you finally go underground?